What I meant.
All right, aloha guys. Wanted to do. I'm doing a premise for my video, guys. I'm not talking directly to you. I'm doing a little chat with a Discord, and we're talking about life and sexuality, and how relationships work, and just offering some points. Jane S, do you want to say hi to my video?
Hi, video.
Thank you, Jay. All right, so yeah, we got some cool people in the chat. You know, some realistic people who we're all adults and we all. Um, so starting off with what's valuing looking at things from the mind of, say, the purity or the conscious creator. What's good. Well, I think one thing that's good is variety and health and virility. So people ask, like, what's the perfect size and shape or appearance of, say, genitalia or body, and really it's hard to say. There really isn't a specific, and I think what the ego what the ego wants there to be a one track answer to everything. That's what the ego wants. Okay, the ego wants there to be a perfect life, and a perfect body where people can say that's the best, that's what everyone should want. And there's a phenomenon that occurs in this concept of celebrityism and celebrating people, where there are trends, where different things are attractive, but there are certain things that I will address that are scientific and that are universally attractive on a consistent basis. For example, a like men may find women with, like, thin hips attractive. Maybe they listen. They may find other features that they have attractive. But the science of thin hips is, having wide hips is advantageous to child rearing.
That's a fact.
And but
That's God's work.
but another thing that happens is men might look at a woman with a big ass and get like an arousal, but that woman may be an unhealthy woman who, she's actually overweight, like she's not very strong physically, but she just has a rotund butt, and so there are different things that the mind plays tricks on, and, like, that's one of the reasons that, like, I prefer a woman with, like, a pretty flat chest. Like, I'm not a fan of breasts for several reasons. The two main ones being that I think, listen, that people women, when exercise or even sex, like, breasts actually interfere with that, and also your back health, and there are different things, like as far as compatibility goes with sex organs, like, my perception, based upon and watching pornography and whatever, is that, and seeing how people interact, is that it's better to be at a medium level than say smaller or bigger vagina and pee compatibility. Um, the reason being because you want to have an enjoyable time intercourse, and but what you don't but what we that it's what's more important than intercourse, generically speaking, what something going in and out of something is actually the ability to do it over the course of your whole lifetime, and be healthy and strong in it, and the sex organs being functional, and you're having the capacity to to actually have sex for hours upon hours, and you all those things in consideration. People, okay, like pornography may give people the miscomprehension, or I should say the misapprehension, that somehow, you know, certain features are attractive in men and women, and that's not how the real world works. In the real world, people have more subtle and more varied attractions. They're random and they're not so predictable. People fall in love and they have great intimate encounters, for subtle things, like they like each other's culture, they like the way they talk. Um, like guys, if you're not being controlled by your desires and you've just jerked off, your heightened level of discernment will disqualify many women just by listening to the sound of the way they talk and their certain demeanor, that you'll not be attracted or want to be with them. But before activating the second chakra, the animal mind may just want to be intimate with various and numerous women. But when you put yourself in a realm of being a classy and person who has a lot of self-respect and considers yours, like think about it like as if you're a very wealthy person and you're like fucking royalty, and the truth being,
Yeah.
that idea that you need to have physical riches and be in a castle, that's not enough, okay, to make you act like royalty and act like you're rich. It's an act, and it's an experience, and it's an emotional thing of feeling like, you know what, I have so much respect and value myself so much and think I have so much value in like my body being valuable, that guess what, I'm gonna be selective about who I'm giving it to, and that's my whole idea of the dream mates. Like, I don't see sex as the physical sex body and sex organs. I see it as you're wanting to give your energy and passion to someone, and
Yeah.
based upon my observation, more often than not, no, I don't need light. I don't need light. Based upon my observation, more often than not, um, I the energy, you know, I don't. What I was, I lost my train of thought there, but basically the energy, it's about energy. Like it's about like and now I remember what I was saying. That usually it's about a man giving a woman all his energy and passion, and that if the woman, for example, is not his dream mate, quote unquote, and doesn't have similar interests as he does, she'll use that energy to do whatever she likes to do, and he'll be upset because he gave her all the. But see that the guy before an orgasm, the guy thinks that he's smart and he's seducing some woman. And by the way, you don't seduce somebody you really care about and respect. That's one of the paradoxes in life. You don't give a, and not that I don't hire prostitutes, but if people that do hire listen, people who do hire prostitutes, they hire those prostitutes because they have no respect for them. And just the same, and feminists will disagree with me when I say this, but prostitutes are sometimes, not always, just as responsible for seducing the man with their body that the man is for seducing the prostitute with the man's money. So it's an interaction that obviously is not love, and it plays out to varying degrees in a lot of people's relationships. They have this.
That's very true, JR.
They have the. Thank you. They have this. They have this. It's all about love, sex, and power. It has nothing to do with actual love. And the magic of it all is it's not about God says you have to love someone, or you better love someone. It's if you want to have sex with them. It's what it is. It's loving loving yourself, if you really love and respect yourself, as I earlier represented and suggested, you're not going to just randomly, casually, informally, in a non-committal manner give somebody your energy. And so but back again to the idea of like sexual compatibility, like I think very important thing in intimacy is that people want to give each other oral pleasure, and it's not something that you want to do with some random person. And I think that would help people with their being. I didn't.
Nowadays,
Nessa.
one thing from someone. It's really sad.
Well, and Nessa, but I don't see, I believe myself to be everything that is and like pure consciousness. So like to me everything is like in a way meaningless. Like I don't really get disturbed by bad things, and obviously I try to improve the world, but like I don't see things in terms of them being sad. I just, to me, life is a complete joke. Like compared to who I am, I believe I'm
True.
I believe I'm bigger than every mountain, bigger than every star, etc. So I don't see
Facts.
and when I look at people, I look at even myself and my own body, I see it as just being like a fucking monkey or something. Like I it's not like the real me who I am. Like, and this is like people might think that this is just derived DMT abstraction and it's spiritual, you know, it's not practical information. But guess what state of mind it puts me in? It puts me in a state of mind where I can confidently engage the world and not be afraid to do so, not be afraid of death, be receptive and inclined towards life. And part of that is having control of the chakras, as I described. But the point being, I think the overall point in getting back to the Jay, were you gonna say something, Mr. J at Nasty?
No, that wasn't me.
All right. Yeah. So the point, getting back to the initial kind of curiosity as far as like in Hollywood, there's certain.
Actually, I have a question.
All
Where
right.
did you learn that women like?
Yeah.
Where did you learn that women have thinner waists due to helping them with pregnancy and being more comfortable? Like, where did you learn that?
It was kind of an assumption. It wasn't specifically learned, but maybe, or it may or may not be true. There may be.
It is true. It is true. It's very. I didn't know. I don't know how you knew that, but that's pretty impressive, man.
Well, I just mean like a wider waist, so it's easier for the birth canal to give birth.
You're talking about hips.
Well, you've heard of the
Yeah.
term hourglass figure. That's where that term comes from, hourglass figure. Because it's been proven there's a hip to waist ratio, which is more ideal for childbirth. And so that's why they say when a woman has an hourglass figure, I mean she has wide hips and, an hourglass figure.
Exactly.
Thank you, Mr. G.
When it's said that some people want like a bigger peepee, the equivalent could be said that some people want a tighter or more shallow VV. So really, that. I think all that is, when you hear people talking about that, it's generally women that say that, or kind of queer men, like rappers are queer and they might talk about women like sucking their dick. Like, I think it's gay for men to talk about anything about penises at all. So even like I'm not saying that
There's a certain amount of dignity that goes in not being vulgar, and so I respect that about JR, how he makes an attempt. You can still say fuck and shit, but you can still curse without being vulgar about it. You know.
yeah.
That's good.
I'd say so. And like, I'm not saying that you, Jay Nasty, have any homosexual preferences by asking questions like, what's your pee-pee size? But I am saying that I think it's an indication of it's a red flag. Like you might want to consider why what the underlying what the motivation of asking that is, and here's the thing, guys. Like I think the reason that what
Interpreting the question wrong. When a question like that isn't meant for the actual physical, like I don't care for the physical thing. I'm talking about like since you and Mr. G live together.
Yeah.
It was more of like a dominance masculine type of thing,
Right.
rather than kind of sexual
Okay,
connotation
okay, I think that was intelligently put, and I'll address that in the further few minutes. This has been gone. I've been talking for over 15 minutes, and I appreciate your
You're talking a lot longer than that.
I appreciate your patience, guys. I think it's a worthwhile topic of addressing. But like I was saying, I think when the subject of quote unquote big peepee is brought up, it's often by I think women who have a resentment towards men, and want to make men feel like it's like a power thing, and like it's this, but the only reason I think women are incredible and much more respectful than men in general. But the reason that women do that isn't because women are mean. It's because they're reacting to men being rude and objectifying women's bodies throughout human history. Um, you know.
But what if a woman just thinks that's
If a woman has certain preferences, great. Everyone has unique preferences, but they're personal preferences and should be kept as such. And whenever people bring up like their personal sex preferences or their relationships in conversation, here's my reaction or statement to them. I represent to them that I want you to have a great life and enjoy for the freedoms that we have in life, especially living in a country like America. However, I don't feel good with you talking about your personal sex life, and then I put them on the spot. Like part of debate, like intelligent debate, is putting people on the spot. Like I'm like being in a nice but serious way, being like, but I want to know why you brought that up, and then you get people in the spot, and they're either quiet and they're non-reactive, but your point's made. So sometimes when problems come up, you need to have a powerful statement and reaction to
JR, you said you like women with wide hips. What about girls with hips? Don't you think that you're telling us your personal sexual information, but you should keep it to yourself?
highly.
Don't you think when you talk about masturbating, it's a little bit it's private and you shouldn't talk about it since you said it's not nice to?
Both exacting and precise, and perfectly stated. Trap and Mr. J Nasty, you guys are on target. Sometimes I don't think there's any way to avoid talking about certain things for the sake of referential purposes. Like I don't just go around talking about this casually in my day-to-day ongoings. This is something specific because it's subject relevant, has subject relevance, and this is more of a scientific inquiry. Like we're investigating the possibilities of life here, guys. This is a tremendous thing, tremendous opportunity, and good word. Mr. G suggested the word opportunity. That was a really
Well,
good.
in certain language, the word opportunity also means challenge.
That's cool. Well said. Well said. Um, so let's see. Where were we in the kind of back and forth? Another thing is the transcendence of envy. Okay, envy is actually a non-existent event, I would argue. I believe that when
Exactly.
I believe that when people envy each other, or they say it's envy, what it really is, for example, let's say for example a black woman or a black guy with bigger features, um, often it's just because people are physically taller and bigger that they have like maybe a bigger PP or a bigger VV, um, but the point remaining that let's say somebody it says that they're envious of somebody's body. What really is going on is that you're in disapproval of the manner in which that person is using their body, or for example their wealth. So when you think that you're envying somebody, all you're doing is, like, if there's a happy couple and they're attractive and wealthy, you're not going to be envious of them. You'll be inspired by them. But if there's somebody who's trying to seduce people with their, if there's yes, Nessa, if there's somebody that's trying to seduce people with their money, or their body, then you disapprove of it. So I just disqualified any case of quote unquote envy, and dismissed it. That was, by the way, that's actually my personal discovery. Like, some of the things that I talk about, guys, are actually the my own actual thoughts and original, and I exclusive to me. So it's kind of exciting. It's kind of exciting to have different places and settings wherein I can share them. YouTube obviously is like everybody having their own fucking whole production company and being able to, express. But again, the conclusion being, like, people may watch pornography or whatever and have their opinions, but the reality is, most people wouldn't ever want to be a porn star, quote unquote. It involves selling your body, objectifying yourself. Do you really think these people are joyful? I would say that most of them, men and women, they're probably poor people, because a fucking rich person, a rich, mentally stable person, does not engage in anything to do with that. Basically, these people most likely they drink alcohol and they practice other forms of escapement to fucking escape the fucking reality that they don't like. And the same thing goes on in a lot of adult settings, nightclubs. That's why in the nightclubs that I am creating, by the way, I actually own the name thefuturenightclub.com, and that's the official title of my nightclubs, which I'm in the process of creating as a concept. But basically, in my nightclubs, there won't be alcohol served, because all that does is, and there'll be gender separate dance floors, so people can dance, and they can talk. They'll have places where they can talk. But the fucking whole idea of, like, close physical dancing, like, people okay, here's how the ego operates, guys. The ego says that it's cool to seduce people. The ego says that it's cool to be better than other people. The ego says it's cool to be lesser than other people and get empathy from people. But the reality of the truth, of the higher truth of unconscious, not of conscious and unconditional love and power and truth, is that it's better to think you're equal to people. Of course, with the exception being you have to be defensive and label some people as a threat to you. But generally speaking, so the point with the nightclubs is the idea of why do people drink alcohol? It's to escape feelings that are very real and very powerful and very truthful. And when you're
And trying to escape trauma that happened. And
That's right. That's right. But the point being that the ego makes it think like, oh, it's cool to get drunk, and who can drink more, and who can, seduce who, and it's basically a game.
Yeah.
It's basically a game of the lower egos, which many people are not aware of. many people are simply not aware of, you know, and so the truth, guys, is, well, the truth is relative, but science is not relative. Science is absolute, and a lot of the things I've stated here are factual representations. Like the ego really does think that seduction is a good thing. The ego thinks it's cool to be mean and tough, when in reality, real power and strength is in being graceful and only exercising aggression when you really have to. That's real power. Real power is being kind and having the courage to be uh, friendly and honest. That's real power, And another thing to do with this whole idea of power and energy is like people think it's passionate to have like uncommittal, casual, like one night stands or threesomes or whatever. First of all, how can people really be passionately having sex as a threesome? It just means that one party isn't really wanting to have intercourse with the other. I mean, the the ego makes it think like, oh, it's passionate to have a one night stand, but it's actually an indication of no passion for yourself, no
Very
passion.
true. I think that's sick, honestly.
Yeah, well, what it is it's a desperation. It's an animal desperation, and it's not really what how people actually are. All that is being controlled by your desires and being controlled by other people, and it's not actual human behavior. It's animal behavior.
But that kind of experimentation and like disappointment is good.
Um, so you're suggesting, well, I mean, disappointment is a lesson if that's what you're implying. But why not transcend that lesson, and people should learn from the mistakes of people have made in the
Right.
past, and not repeat these stupid patterns of behavior.
But don't you think some accidents are fun, JR?
In the sense of not regretting the past, or that um, it's good to have bad things happen to you. I disagree. I think it's better to learn indirectly from other people's, and historically from people's
I feel it.
people's bad situations and mistakes. But I think the theme of the chat originally was what's the most attractive body and body parts and whatever. And the point is, like I was saying, it's very important to want to have oral sex with your partner. Another thing that's important is health and virility, and the health of the skin in your youth, and that will always be more attractive than other features. And another thing is, if you don't find your body attractive, simply don't procreate and invest in a couple that you think are attractive and will have nice kids. And in turn, those kids' grandkids, those kids' will very possibly be your future incarnation in 100 years, theoretically speaking. And so I think I hit all the points there.
JR, that last part was really disturbing.
Disturbing. I think it's positive and brilliant. What do you mean?
The part where you said that you shouldn't procreate if you don't think you're attractive is kind of like,
You don't like that?
it's just weird.
Well, I think it's a very rational and objective thing to do, and I think maybe the reason you don't like it is because people have this affinity for having
A
their own
soul
children.
and like wanting to pass that on to people.
What?
Having a soul and wanting to pass that on to people, or a life and pass that on to people.
Yeah, but JR, are you saying you shouldn't procreate because you wouldn't love the child if you don't love yourself? Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I think I maybe not I might be misunderstood here. What I'm saying is that instead of that I believe in humanity as being one big collective, and that we should all invest in make our bodies more, more attractive, however we think that is. And I see myself as being pure consciousness, playing an experiment by how can we make the world better and how can we make our bodies more attractive. And in that sense, I myself, if I, it's all in part based upon opinion. Like, I think my body is attractive, and so I want to. If I do have an attractive dream mate who I think is attractive, notice it's all based upon opinion and it's subjective, but. Then I would want to have children with them. But if I didn't think my body was attractive, I might still have a dream mate, but I might, instead of having children, I would rather, maybe adopt a child, or give money or time to uplifting other children. And it's a mindset of global citizenry. It's a mindset of the world is.
Ow, the cringe. Ow.
It's a mindset of the world is, of my family. I'm not sure what you mean by cringe trap, but I can respect your difference of opinion. Um,
It's like this, right? Like imagine like being like look at yourself in the mirror and just being like, I'm ugly, I'm worthless. Like you think that's good for people to do that, JR? Come on.
I think it's intelligent and rational for people to decide whether or not they think their body is physically attractive, such that they would want to see it occur in future incarnations of themselves, if not others. And furthermore, I think that it's very intelligent for a person to be honest, and let's say they're lacking in virility, or they have somehow a deformed body or non-functional sex organs, then they should be honest about that. And instead of feeling badly about it, they can focus on other aspects of life, and like, for example, have a nice job, or buy nice jewelry. That all life is about what you focus on, and that's how you feel good. So focus on things that you can find to be beautiful, and make beauty. But part of making beauty is in science, and in choice and lifestyle, making the body better, the physical human body, improving it, um, and not in a way that it's like natural selection, like people are, um, in a way that people are like competing with each other, but to have like the children so that they'll out